Fantastic.
You
Well,
said that, sorry if I just jump in there, Rebecca, the way you said that was priceless. And I would also agree that it's almost like flexing a muscle. It's almost like, I'm like you, I get really excited and I was like, oh. And practicing that is maturity, and it's flexing some muscle hidden somewhere in us. I love the way you said that. So thank you for sharing.
I like that, maturity. At 34, I'm finally maturing. I don't feel like an adult yet. I'm not really sure when the whole adult thing kicks in.
Oh my God, I'm 56 and I still don't think I've got that. And you're 34.
We're all just winging it. It's okay.
Oh dear.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca. It's been wonderful hearing from you this morning, and we will be seeing you again throughout the festival. But thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a wonderful journey and teaching me so much through preparing for this, which is not something that I expected, but is so wonderful.
Amazing. Thank you. Okay. Let's give her a round of applause. Yay. Well, now it is my great pleasure to introduce our next session. And in this session, I am hosting an author panel with some of our special guest authors. So we're still waiting for one of our panelists to arrive, but we do have this morning, Rachel Neate is here, Vanessa Fiducia is here, Sarah Walkerden, and Emma Allen. So we might get started, and I'll get each of you to introduce yourselves, and I'll lead with questions, and we'll also be taking questions from the audience as well. So Rachel Neate, I'd love to start with you. Could you tell us a bit about who you are?
Is that working?
Now it's working, yes. Perfect.
So I firstly apologise in advance if you hear some crying. I'm currently breastfeeding while I do this conference. My name is Rachel, and I opened a physiotherapy clinic in 2016. And I've got two amazing small children, and I contributed to the book by writing a chapter on culture in business and how to achieve a good culture.
Beautiful, thank you. Emma Allen, tell us a bit about who you are.
Hi everyone, I'm Emma Allen. I'm the director and founder of Active Property Investing. I've entered the real estate industry from a very different perspective, so I was determined to change the way people interact when it comes to investing, and have built a business that is going against the grain. So my chapter is around carving your own pathway.
Beautiful, thank you, Emma. We also have Vanessa Fiducia here. Hi, Vanessa.
Hey, Piers, how are you going? So I established Profit First Accounting in late 2018 as a young mum of two kids and wanting to free myself of time and have a little bit of extra financial freedom for myself and my family. And my chapter's on why profit should be planned and not happen by mistake.
Beautiful. Thank you, Vanessa. And Sarah Walkerden is here. Hi, Sarah. Would you tell us a bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Sarah, and my business is The Rural Copywriter. So I'm a copywriter and marketing strategist for rural, regional and remote businesses. I've been copywriting for the last couple of years, but before that ran an e-commerce and retail business. And yeah, I've been doing this business caper for a little while now, but certainly very happy where I am at the moment.
Beautiful. Thanks, Sarah. And I think Sandra has just joined us as well. Hi, Sandra. How are you?
Oh, hello. Hi. Sorry, I was muted. Hi, everyone. I'm Sandra. I live in regional WA in Coauthors. I co-founded, my background's in youth and community services work, and I co-founded a not-for-profit charity with my husband called Blue Beanie Projects. And my chapter in the book is a lot around collaboration and partnerships and working together with others.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sandra. Well, I'd love to just kick things off with hearing a bit more about really the message, the key message or story that you're wanting to convey through each of your chapters. So we might start with you, Rachel. If you could tell us a bit about your chapter and what the message is behind your chapter.
So look, I thought a lot about what I think I maybe got wrong in the beginning, most with my business. It's something I thought I could help people with. I always assumed that everyone would want to work as hard for my business as I did from the beginning, and that's not true. So I think I didn't spend the beginning of my business opening on the culture, which made it much harder to change down the track. Still possible, but definitely harder. So I decided to write about it so that when you're starting a business or when you're looking at it, you can have that vision already so that it doesn't come as a bit of a shock if it's not working. Because I found that you don't really realize that the culture isn't good until it's already not good. So, you know, and then you've got staff that might not tell you something, that they're feeling uncomfortable about something, they're not, and then they hold on to that, and then eventually the years go by and then they don't want to work anymore and they don't want to work for you anymore. So I sort of found that having that at the beginning would have been easier. So I wrote the chapter in that vein to try and help people to start off thinking about that, forward thinking about what you want your business to represent and how you want people to feel when they come to it. And I'm a very family oriented person. So I always envisioned this beautiful family practice that everyone loves to come to. You know, I send them emails of my children, the photos come through, that we share things, and it's a bit of a community rather than anything very corporate. And so I've spent a lot of time in the last sort of 3 years working on developing that, and it's come a very long way, which is nice.
Beautiful. And so you have a team of people working with you. How many employees do you have, Rachel?
Gosh, I should know this before I get online. I think we're sitting at 12 at the moment. So we're just in a bit of a changeover. We've got my practice manager moving on to move back to Western Australia. So if anyone wants her, she's fabulous. And then someone else coming in. So we've doubled up a little bit, but 12 at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And you're on maternity leave at the moment. How have you managed that with your team?
Yes, that's been interesting. So look, it's been very different to last time. So last time I had maternity leave, I just hired someone to cover my list as a physiotherapist. I didn't have the kind of business that I have now. So now it was a lot more forward planning. So I spent a lot of time getting the practice ready to be run relatively well without me. I still do the pays, but apart from that, I'm pretty much not doing anything. So it was just, I think, forward thinking. And the one advantage of pregnancy is you do have 9 months most of the time to forward think and plan. So, you know, I had the time, I knew it was happening. And mind you, COVID this year threw a little bit of a spanner in the works. So we had to spend a lot of time on that. So I probably didn't rest as much as one probably should through a pregnancy, but it's turned out perfectly fine at the end. So.
That's beautiful. And you, your team have all rallied around to help you. How has it worked in practical terms?
It's actually been quite heartwarming. So, you know, everyone sort of really stepped up and everyone's taken the hit together, I guess. So we had to, through stage 4, we had to lower our hours a little bit, and everyone took an identical hit to their wages, and then we brought them up at exactly the same time. And so everyone volunteered to do that. And, you know, it's created this sense of, I think as well, with me stepping out of the business, of who really wants to be here and who sort of, you know, really loves the business. I think it creates a bit of clarity when you step back as an owner and you don't sort of work all, because I was working full time and treating and sort of running the business as a bit of a side thing. And then now I run the business full time and don't treat. So it's created, I think, a better, and I can spend more time focusing on those things. And I think the staff have appreciated it, but they've been amazing. They've stepped up. They do extra things outside of their roles that they didn't do before, you know, and plus COVID cleaning and all that. So even we've got senior physios scrubbing toilets and things like that. So it's everyone sort of come together, and we've become more of a one level team rather than a bit of a hierarchy. So it's nice.
And your topic was culture. How do you create a really positive culture in your business?
I think firstly, trial and error is the most important thing. But I think what you have to believe in what it is that you're creating. So I live and breathe this kind of this family community sort of vibe that I like to give off, that I'm willing to come in on a Sunday afternoon if someone really needs it, or, you know, whatever it is, I'm happy to be there for them. You know, I've got one patient moving to a different area tomorrow, and so they've asked if I can come in just to see them because they can't imagine leaving before I go, you know, without seeing me. And so that sort of vibe, and I think if you're clear and define what you want people to feel when you come to your business, that's the most important thing. And then you can start to incorporate that into, you know, finding the right staff that sort of agree with your values, but also complement and challenge them and create an even better environment. So it takes a lot of work, and the chapter sort of outlines a sort of 5-step process. And what I've found is the easiest way to make sure you don't miss things. So, you know, setting goals with your staff, so it comes from them and you're not dictating to them what you want them to feel and enjoy and all that sort of stuff. So a little bit of compromise, and you can actually build something quite magical, I guess is the nicest way to put it. It's everyone wants to come to work, and everyone's happy to do the extra yards that they might not do if it was just a job. So.
That sounds beautiful. And Rachel, when you're hiring people, when you're bringing someone in to your team, what are the things that you're looking for when you're interviewing, I guess?
One of my staff actually made me laugh. He's like, you didn't really ask me any questions. You just chatted to me about life, and you didn't really, you know. And I said, well, yes. And I was a bit busy that day, but also I look for people that fit with the sort of same sense of belonging that everyone else does. So a little bit of a sense of humor. You don't have to be you know, it's just lighthearted and conversation. So I interview for quite a while so that the nerves disappear, I guess. So, you know, you get that initial nervousness that people are, you know, expected to have. And I end up just having a conversation with people towards the end. And I judge on that, and I judge on when they say things. It depends what they say in certain areas, but, you know, they need to want to work here, not just need to work, if that makes sense. So we look for someone that really picks this place because of what we do and how we are. Because, you know, when the times are tough, we all band together, and when the times are easy, we all celebrate together. So I look for personality 101, because you can teach physiotherapy to most people. So it's the culture that matters first.
So it's all about who they are as a person.
Absolutely. You know, and as long as they have their degree so they can legally work, the rest of it I can teach. So I've been doing physio for a long time. We've got a couple of great senior physios, so we can train up anybody. It's more about being the right person for the job.
Beautiful. Thank you, Rachel. No worries. Vanessa, I'd love to hear about your chapter now. Can you tell us about what you wrote about and the message that you wanted to share with people through your chapter?
I had so much fun writing my chapter. I felt like once I really got into it, I could have sat there all day. And people say, you know, finance is boring. It's only as boring as you make it, right? So my chapter was really about, you know, structuring your finances and planning for profit. When you go into business, sometimes we go into it by mistake, but what you do after that, you can plan for. So you can plan to have a profitable business. You don't just have to make money by chance. Every transaction that we make should have planned profit built into that transaction. So I guess my chapter was a little bit about how we do that and what the best way around that is. And then when you finally have this abundance of profit, what do you do with it? So yeah, that's what the gist of my chapter was about. Yeah, don't just go into business and then think everything else happens from thereafter by chance. Have a little bit of a plan around how you manage your finances.
And what advice would you have to people who are starting business who aren't confident with their finances and with their numbers and what's happening?
Well, I think the title of the book says it all. You have to back yourself and get advice where you can. Speak to other people that are in business around you. We've got an amazing community as a collective. So, you know, there's amazing women within our group that you can get advice from. Speak to a bookkeeper, speak to accountants, you know, spend money where money's worth spending on great advice, and then try and save on other things. So if, you know, you've got however many electricity providers out there, save money in those areas, not on really great advice.
Yeah, okay. And how many people do you have working on your team for your business? Is it just you or?
At the moment, we've got 7.
Okay.
So we've built quite quickly and had some really amazing growth in the last 2 and a bit years. But yeah, my team's amazing. You know, you only are what your team is. So I think, yeah, as Rachel said, it's all about culture as well. And we're the same when we're interviewing. It's all based on their personality, because skill you can teach. So yeah, that was great advice. So yeah, there's 7 of us. We've got a bookkeeping division and then an accounting division.
Okay. And so some people are working at that at the higher level. The accountants are more at the higher level of finances, and then the bookkeepers are doing the data entry and things like that. Is that how you've structured it?
Yeah, that's right. And then we're building out our 3rd division now, which is consulting, to then further remove me from the business. So at the moment, I'm still doing a lot of the consulting work, but I want to remove myself from that. So I've got a bit more freedom to work on strategic planning and things. So building out that 3rd division now.
That's exciting. So you'll be more in the operations part of things and the overall strategy, and then you'll have the team working with clients and doing the hands-on sort of stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all about structure and yeah, that plan. I guess when you first start a business, you're the main person of every division, but having a vision of where you want to go and how you want your business to feather out, and really setting plans up. So we always work in, 90 days and then a year and a 3-year and a 5-year and a 10-year plan, and how each of those stages should look. Obviously, COVID happened this year, so it was a little bit skew-whiffed as our timeline went, and we had to change a few things, but that's okay. But yeah, we're right on track to where we want to go in terms of what we thought it would look like when we first opened up to where we are now.
That's fantastic. Now, Vanessa, I know when people are starting out in business, it's just you and you're doing everything and you have to be across everything. But then as you scale and grow your business, which is the point you're at now, you have to then let go of doing everything and trust other people to do things. It's kind of like the opposite. In the beginning, you're doing everything, and then after that, you're letting go of everything and trusting others. Can you tell us a bit about how that process has been for you? And did you find it hard to let go of stuff when you were going through that transition?
I think I could have written a whole book on me being a control freak. But yeah, I think that was probably one of my hardest parts, because you're in the back of your head, I don't know if it's just me, but can someone else do it as good as I can? Or is it just quicker if I do it myself? I've got to train someone else up to do exactly how I do it. Or is it, so I now have an amazing EA who does my emails. So she sifts through everything and only gives me the important stuff. So I'm not putting out spot fires all the time. That has changed my life. So anyone that doesn't have an assistant needs to get one as soon as you can afford to and your cash flow is good. And then obviously that was a major part of my life that I delegated, because now I'm like, has something important come in that I've missed? But you've just got to trust in the process that you've written your systems and documents well enough for someone else to follow. And instead of saying, oh, I've got to teach someone to do it, teach someone how to document your processes, do a Loom video on it and let them run for their life and start writing the processes as they go. So that would probably be my advice. And then, yeah, they can go off and running and set everything up exactly how you've taught them to. And then, the fear of them leaving isn't so bad, and you haven't wasted any time if they've gone ahead and documented the processes. As soon as someone else comes in, they can pick up those processes. It's like a user manual, and they can start doing that same job.
That's fantastic. And so what are the kinds of things that you get your EA to do, your executive assistant?
Yeah, so she manages our Facebook, so our all of our online presence, my emails, my diary, booking all my appointments, liaison with clients if they have any questions. They've got a short list of answers if someone asks something simple that doesn't need to come through to me. Anything that's super complicated or urgent, our clients have now been trained to write red, orange or green in the subject line of the email, so we know how urgent that email is. And that's a part of our onboarding process, so our clients get taught our procedures as well.
That's fantastic. It sounds like you have some incredible systems in place to keep everything running smoothly.
Oh, I love a system.
I can see that. And how did you come up with the system, the red, orange, green? Is that something you developed or something that you read about or learnt about?
No, my EA said, look, we're getting a lot of emails and I just don't really know what's important or what's not. And I said, how about we just train the clients? Like if it's like really urgent and the world could end if we don't deal with it within the next 24 hours, make it a red and we'll just use it like a traffic light system. So that's exactly what we did.
That's incredible. I don't think I've heard about people training their clients in how.
And they're amazing. They just took to it straight away. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that. So, and in terms of your systems and, you know, you getting your team to document systems, is that something that you've asked your EA to do as well? Is she documenting the kinds of things she's doing?
Yeah, so my EA creates all of the systems. So anytime someone in the team does something new, they'll loom a video while they're doing it, and then they'll send that video across to my EA, and then she'll then go ahead and document the system.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting so many ideas today, Vanessa. This is amazing. That's fantastic.
And that can be implemented within any business. It doesn't matter what business you run. Systems are so important. We've got trades businesses that are doing the same, like a concreter who's video recording his team doing a set out of, you know, how they do a slab and then writing a system on it. So it doesn't have to be something that's just for an admin type business or a service or professional type business. It can be in any type business.
Fantastic. And in terms of the system itself, it can just be a one-page document. Is that?
Yeah. So we just use the same template.
Mm-hmm.
That way it's just got who's responsible for it, when it's needed, what's needed to complete that system. So links to websites that we use or logons if we need to use Xero, if we need to use our practice management system, all of that's listed in that document. So then it's just an easy click on link. If we need to use SharePoint, all of that's in there. And then the steps to carry out the system is listed at the bottom, and then who to contact if there's an issue at the bottom.
That's fantastic. And I think systems are so important for anybody who's wanting to scale their business. So going from, you know, as I was saying before, from one person doing everything to then letting go and letting other people do things. It's easier to let go if you know that there are systems and procedures in place. Is that what you found?
100%. And then as soon as you start letting go of those things, you can actually focus on creating profit and what's important in your business. So you can actually look at a higher level and then start diving deeper into each of your product lines and build those out and see if you can offer any other things in there, or really take a deeper look at what's going on within the financial side of your business. And that'll also help you grow your team more, because you'll be able to have a better understanding of your numbers, because a lot of people put that last because they're too busy doing the do.
Yes, absolutely. I think so many people are so busy working in the business that they're not looking at that strategic level, working on.
Yeah, 100%.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. That's been amazing. Lots of great advice in there. So Sarah Walkerden, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. My chapter was a bit of a mindset topic on trust. So I think you touched on that with Vanessa briefly, that it's all about trusting yourself first and then learning to trust other people. So yeah, my background, I started out in the corporate world and then had this brilliant idea that we were going to start an e-commerce business. So my husband and I built a little e-commerce business up selling horse products. And that was about 10 years ago. We basically had industry knowledge. I worked in the corporate world doing website content, so I knew my way around websites and marketing and that kind of stuff. We built that business to a point where we thought it was a good idea to build a physical retail presence, and we did that. It was a massive project. We built an entire building in a country town that we're near to. And as it turned out to be a complete disaster. So it was a rough journey. We put everything we had into it for 2 years, and we had 2 tiny kids that got dragged around to the shop with us. It was a pretty horrible situation to be in. Like, it started out very promising and very exciting, but ended up that it just couldn't work in the district that we were in. So yeah, then we sort of hit a brick wall with that business, I guess, and had to shut the physical stuff down. But that was a very difficult time, I guess, for our family. But we then were able to have enough trust, I guess, in ourselves to then pivot and find different directions. So instead of falling in a heap, I went back to what I was good at, which was copywriting, and started a new copywriting business, which is, yeah, basically gone from strength to strength in the last couple of years. So yeah, and I think the main thing that I've learned throughout that journey has basically been the more trust you can place in yourself, the better off you end up being. You know, a path that you may go down may not work out, but it doesn't mean it's the end of the journey. It doesn't mean it's a complete and utter failure. It simply means that it's a lesson and a bit of a redirect, and then you can find a better path to be on. So when you can trust that process, trust yourself, yeah, you don't necessarily have to give up at the first hurdle.
Wow. So yeah, what ended up happening to that business? Did you sell the business? Were you able to sell the building?
So we shut down the physical store in our little country town. We obviously put the building up for sale, so we sold that last year. And we also sold our e-commerce brand because I was completely over the retail world at that point. So yeah, our brand still exists. It's still out there, which in itself is quite an achievement, I guess. It's still operating with new owners who are really enthusiastic. So that's wonderful. And yeah, it allowed me to learn very hands-on the whole process from beginning to that point of selling, that it meant that I was able to pivot into my new business really quickly and get that started really fast. So yeah, it was an amazing experience, and we don't regret a second of it, because it's put us on a better path that actually gives us the freedom and flexibility we wanted in the first place. So yeah, it's turned out pretty well so far.
Yeah, wow. So you talk about trust. Is trusting your intuition, is that part of the trust that you're talking about when you talk about trusting yourself?
Yeah, I think the online business world is so noisy. It's very easy to sort of get suckered down different random tangents. It's easy to just try and throw your trust into everybody else and ignore everything in you that's sort of screaming at you that perhaps there's a different way of doing things. It's just easy to trust other people more in some ways and go, well, this person has been successful doing this, but that system may not work for you. So it's a matter of being able to suck in all the information you can, but then trusting your own intuition as to what's right for you.
I think that's so interesting, because you're right. Like we're given so much advice and opinions and information from all sorts of different sources, from, you know, YouTube videos or podcasts we listen to or books we read or business coaches we're working with even. And I must admit, you know, in the early days of our business, we'd be getting advice from coaches, but they'd never worked with a business that was similar to ours. They'd never run a business like ours. And so sometimes we'd follow their advice and realize down the track that actually we knew what we were doing and we should have just kept going with what we were doing before we listened to them. And so I think that is really, really valuable advice, that sometimes you have to trust your own instincts and your own intuition.
Yeah, definitely. You've always got to create a business that works for you and feels right to you. So you can't copy everyone else's strategies and the way they do things, because it may not be who you are. So I've certainly learnt that along the way. It's been pretty crucial to sort of forging my own path forward and doing things my way in a way that suits me and my family and my circumstances. So yeah.
Even
I guess.
Yeah. Keep going.
That's right. I was just going to say, there's also a middle ground where you've also got to, once you trust yourself, you've also got to let other people in to help. Obviously, yeah, a lot of other ladies have like really big teams. I don't have that yet. I've got a couple of little junior copywriters that help me from time to time, but there comes a point where you've got to be strong enough in yourself to sort of let go of the reins and let other people in as well.
And I was going to talk about fear, because I think fear comes into it as well. I mean, when you were at that point with that business where it wasn't working, but letting go of that and then like, well, what's next? Did fear come up in that process?
It was absolutely petrifying. For so long, we'd had this one goal, my husband and I, so we were working towards this one business. And for so long, I felt like my identity was tied up in that particular brand. So yeah, having to make that decision to draw the line in the sand and go, well, this isn't what we want anymore. And then to suddenly, it felt like the rug was being pulled out from underneath you, kind of, because I had to reinvent myself as well as create this new brand and a new business and a new direction. So yeah, it's crazy how our identities get so tied up in what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, you know, when you're talking about a business, it's a dream that you've had. You've got this vision for your business. And then when that dream doesn't work out, it's hard to let go of that. Is that what you found?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So you did touch on trusting other people. And that is, you know, it's something that both Rachel and Vanessa have talked about, how they've been able to build their team and create that trust. When it comes to, you know, first trusting yourself and then trusting others, what do you think is important to remember when we're doing that?
I guess it's just important to keep checking back in with yourself to make sure that you're on the right path for you. There's no point trying to copy anyone else's systems or, you know, put the people into your business if it doesn't work for you personally. And then as you start trusting other people, yeah, you've really got to make a conscious effort, I guess, to sort of draw that line in the sand and hand over control to them and put that faith in them. Because if you pick the right people, obviously that trust will be repaid and they'll do a good job. And the more you can empower them, the more effort and, yeah, passion they'll put into their role with you, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. I'd love to now have a bit of a chat with Sandra. Sandra, how are you?
Hi there, I'm great, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Sandra, I'd love to hear about your chapter in the book and what your main message was for people.
Yeah, sure. I've always been a really big believer in the greater good, a bit of a dreamer, if you like. And I've always wanted to change the world somehow, and I knew I always wanted to help people. But I guess I learned really early on in my career and early on in life that in order to be able to achieve my goals and to really make change in the world, I needed to be surrounded by people, a tribe of people who shared my vision, my values and everything like that. So for me, yeah, so the chapter's really about collaboration, partnerships, how we work better together. You know, yeah. So I'm a really big believer in we need to set our egos aside. You know, a lot of the time that can be an issue. And if we've got a common goal and we want to achieve that, we can do it so much better when we're surrounded by people who, you know, have the same beliefs and values as we do. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We're better together, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Sandra, for people who haven't met you before, can you tell us a bit about what you do? Because there's quite a few things you do.
There is a few. So Blue Beanie Projects is the charity that I co-founded with my husband. That's really around, we have a few goals and missions as part of what we do, but we're both professionally qualified youth workers. And we really believe strongly in young people having access to professional, sustainable youth work services, especially in regional and remote areas. We've worked predominantly in regional and remote Western Australia together. And what we've seen over the years is we've watched a lot of our youth programs or services, things that are really going well and successful, be defunded and shut down constantly. And as people would know, in regional and remote areas, the suicide rates are much higher for young people. So one of our goals of Blue Beanie is trying to reduce the rates of suicide through the implementation of sustainable and professional youth services. We think youth workers have a really important role to play in that. And what we find as well is, having worked remote for so long, is that it's not as, sorry, I'm trying to get this out right. It's like it's harder to get qualified youth workers, or and a lot of people, agencies and services, become complacent and just hire anyone with no skills, experience or background. And the reality is, young people deserve professional youth services, and it doesn't matter where they live. It doesn't matter if they live in the remotest, smallest community in Australia, but they should still have access to that professional service like a metro kid would. So that's Blue Beanie, and we run a whole heap of youth projects and services through that. We work with 5 to 25-year-olds. We support youth services. We work with young people and children, and we run programs. And on top of that, my husband is also a chef. So for the last 4 years, we've owned and operated a really busy cafe in town here. So he's, I don't know how he juggles it all, but we're in the process right now of selling, and we're going to focus all of our time and energy onto Blue Beanie. So we're really excited about that. But yeah, that's a bit about my background, I guess. It's really youth focused.
Yeah. So your chapter was about collaborating and working with partners. Can you tell us about some of the kind of collaborations and partnerships that you have with Blue Beanies?
Yeah, sure. Basically, Blue Beanie wouldn't exist if we didn't have the partnerships that we do. So we've operated on, that's why we're going to invest all of our time in it now, to build our income and expend it, all the rest of it. But we've relied really, really heavily on local businesses, local community organisations that support us, that sponsor us. I'm just trying to think of examples. There's so many collaborations, I wouldn't even know where to start. But like one of our projects is the Pilbara Shine project, which is all around modelling and self-development, grooming, deportment, that sort of thing. And for that, we've worked really closely with a lot of clothing retailers, both locally in WA, locally in our town, branched out across WA and also across Australia. We've had brands that have come on board with us. So that's one of the collaborations, I guess. We work with a lot of makeup artists and hairdressers who help train the young people. During COVID, we obviously, like everyone, we had to pivot and take everything online. So we took our Pilbara Shine project online, and we were able to then connect with hairdressers and makeup artists in different locations who were able to run online Zoom workshops with young people, which was really cool. So yeah, a whole heap of ways that we collaborate, I guess. Yeah.
And in terms of funding, do you work with corporate partners as well?
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be working on trying to develop. So we've both been so busy with our full-time work that really Blue Beanie's always been a side project for us. So we haven't really had the time to do that. And we're made up predominantly of volunteers. Well, actually, we are all volunteers, I should say. So that's something we will do down the track. But yeah, mainly the sponsorship, when I would say sponsorships, it's just local businesses who might invest in something that we're running, or just even little things like providing vouchers for our kids after they've been a part of one of our shows. Just lots of different ways that local businesses support us.
Yeah, fantastic. And you've worked with so many children over the years. Have you had any great success stories where perhaps they've gone through your Pilbara Shine program and then gone on into either the makeup industry or fashion or modelling, anything like that?
Yeah, we've had a few young people, quite a few actually, through Pilbara Shine who've done a few things. So I'm trying to think of an example. One of our boys, he's actually, yeah, one of our boys recently was published in a magazine, which was very cool. A catwalk magazine for kids. So that was really cool. That was through a photo shoot we had arranged through Blue Beanie. And then we've got more of stuff like that coming up, which we're really excited about. So one of these magazines wants to do a feature on Blue Beanie and the Pilbara project. So we have a really exciting photo shoot coming up, which I'm very excited about. We've had young people that we've worked with over the years who are now wanting to be youth workers as well, which is really, really awesome. And these are young people who really struggled with their own issues and demons back then. And now they've come to us and said, we really want to do youth work. And we're like, great, we'll support you. So that's another thing we do as part of Blue Beanie, is mentoring and guiding and supporting new youth workers, all those training and studying. And I love that when you've got young people who want to become youth workers, who've experienced it, seen it, had the help of youth workers themselves. I think it's just amazing. Yeah, I think they've got lived experience, and so really cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that you're bringing up the next generation of youth workers as well, that they're then going to be out in the community helping other kids through those challenges. That's really beautiful. Yeah. So Sandra, when it comes to creating a partnership or a collaboration with local businesses, for example, how do you approach that deal so that it's a positive outcome for both parties?
We've been pretty lucky with Blue Beanie in that it's a small town in Karratha. It's a small regional town. So a lot of people we sort of know everyone really. And we've been lucky in that over the years, a lot of people have approached us and said, hey, heard about what you do. Can we support you? Can we work together? So that's been really awesome. In other ways, when we deal with retailers or having to go to things, we really try to get the young people involved with us. So I think it's really important for them to learn the skills of working with retailers. And sometimes kids can be a bit fussy about what clothes they're going to wear on the runway. It's trying to make them understand that, well, actually, you've got to go and talk to this fashion designer or this retailer and really listen to what they want for it. So but in saying that, the retailers have always been really good too about making sure the young people and the children feel comfortable in what they're wearing. Sorry, I've probably lost track of the question now.
That's okay. I was just wondering about collaboration and how to make sure it's a win-win for both parties.
Yeah, well, I think it's, like in the chapter in the book, what I talk about, I go through the stages of what I think, what my recommendations are. And it's really around, I think you need to have a shared values, shared vision. We can't bring people on board to Blue Beanie if they don't share our value or our vision. Because we also launched a streetwear sort of clothing line as part of Blue Beanie with the young people. And we utilise brand ambassadors and people with social media presences, but we don't go with who's got the highest number of followers. We go with people who really understand and believe in our vision and our passion. And I think too, with partnerships, you have to be, in collaboration, you have to communicate, you have to be honest with each other, you have to be real about what you can bring or what you can't, because sometimes collaborations and partnerships don't work for some people, and that's okay too. But I think it's really important to look at defining roles and responsibilities and making sure people are balancing each other's skill sets and the rest of it. Communication is so key. I know I keep going back to communication, but it's so important that we communicate. Or so easily you can just lose track of something, or it just goes away. So communication, vision. I'm just trying to think of everything else that I sort of wrote about in my chapter, but sorry, I'm just looking through. Sorry, I was just looking through some notes I had down here, which I haven't looked at all till now. But being clear on expectations of each other. and putting things in writing as well. You know, it's no point in just saying, yeah, we're going to do this and agree to it verbally. You really have to have things in writing, whether that's a memorandum of understanding or a formal partnership agreement, depending on what type of collaboration or partnership you're doing. It's just really important that things are written down. I write everything. I think everything needs to be written down.
Yeah, fantastic. And you talked about values as well. What are some of the values that you're looking for when you're working with partners?
Someone that likes young people, for starters. Obviously, over the years, media and all the rest of it can put a really negative spin on young people. And we really want to take it in the other direction and really want the world to know that young people are amazing, and they literally are our future. We need to invest in that. And so we want people that are not anti-youth, but we also are looking for people, I guess, that understand where we come from with our vision and our goals. And a lot of that, sorry, and I forgot to mention it earlier, you know, the creation of Blue Beanie came about through, it's actually named after a young person called Bluey, who we unfortunately lost to suicide. So, you know, everything we do is around suicide prevention and all the rest of it. So, yeah, sorry, I've lost track again. It's early in the morning in WA. You people are a few hours ahead of me. All I want to say. Very early in the morning, no. Yeah, I'm not sure if I answered that piece. Sorry, I'm losing track of myself here.
Yeah, no, all good, all good. Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you, Sandra. We might throw to Emma Allen now. Hey, Emma, how are you?
I am well, thank you.
So, Emma, what did you write about in your chapter, and what is the message that you wanted readers to take away?
I focused on how to find your own way as a business owner, because I think we're just at a time where competition can be potentially really fierce, and our customers get a lot of information thrown at them. It's, you know, there's a lot of imitation, and when you're a business owner, sometimes we think we're unique, but if we can't communicate that, then are we actually different from our competitors? So it's really about building a brand and a value proposition that helps you stand out. Mm-hmm. And beyond that, what do you need to use to help the business move forward? Because I think sometimes when you're starting, it's a little bit scary and daunting. So the things that you need to move forward, I've started to outline in my chapter. Similarly, if you've got a business and you're stuck in a rut, then what do you need to kind of propel through that? And I think this year has really highlighted that business can do well in a strong economic environment, but when that environment changes, then what happens? And I think you really need to have that cut through as a leader to be able to determine really quickly where you need to change direction. And so I've used the analogy of carving your own pathway, because becoming a business owner isn't like flicking on a switch. You can't just go, yes, I'm going to be one, and then everything falls into place. It's actually a long process and a long journey. And I think sometimes you just chip away and you think you're getting nowhere, but it all adds up. So my message is really about turning up every day, giving it your all and giving everything a go. And that consistency is actually what gets you further ahead in business. It's not just one big win.
I love that your title is about carving your own pathway, because it reminds me of that diagram that I've seen where, you know, people think that success is a straight line from here to here.
Yeah.
But actually it's kind of, you go up a bit and then you go all the way down and then up and then back down and then up, and it is like, you have to make your own pathway, and your pathway is not going to look the same as anyone else's.
Yes.
And in the same way, your business isn't either. Your business is never going to be exactly the same as anyone else's.
Yes.
And to be successful and at the top of your game, you actually want to be different. So can you tell us a bit more about that, about standing out from the crowd?
Yeah, look, I think if I think back to every now and then I go back to my old high school, and I've gone back during careers days to talk about women in business. And I say to the girls, now I didn't know as an 18-year-old where I would be right now. But if I look back in hindsight, every little decision aligned to where I needed to be right now. So I think for them, you need to understand what you're good at, what you like to do, and you need to put in the hard yards, but you also need to embrace every opportunity, because those opportunities are doors to get you to where you need to be. Now, I know that's a really roundabout way of answering it, but I think sometimes even with just talking about staff and consultants, when I talk about opportunities, sometimes you need to create them. So to be able to create them, you actually need to look at things through entrepreneurial eyes. So there's a lot of messaging, and I think the hardest part for me was really summarizing the core steps that I recommend doing it. In terms of how I created my own pathway, I had a very, very distinct reason why I started my business, and it's because the way in which I had seen businesses in my industry delivered did not align to my ethics. Mm-hmm. And so when you want to create a business that's different from what is existing, you have to define what it is that's different. For example, in real estate, I found it was always about the property. But for investors to be successful, it's actually about understanding the investing concepts, which is the buying process. It's not the real estate sales process. So that's the flip for my business. And then because I've got a background in sport, I look at things and in the context of how a team needs to work together. Yes, we're not going to win every game, but you need to show up and you need to perform. Can I walk off the court saying, you know what, I did my best? And so I kind of use that in the way that I've shaped the culture of the company and how I encourage our team members to perform and how we support and empower our clients to succeed. So everything is really about creating an environment for success. And that's really the message that I've created in the business. And that's my pathway, is to make sure that everybody else can see and we highlight the pathway that they need to be successful.
Amazing. For people who haven't heard of your business or who don't know about your business, could you just tell us a bit about what it is and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I created active property investing because people kind of dance around with the concept of the idea of investing, but you need to be actively doing it to reap the rewards. I stepped into this industry after having worked in corporate, having worked in sport, worked overseas. And this was something that I was doing personally, which was I'd seen how hard my parents worked when they migrated to Australia and what they built. I got to a point where, yes, I went to uni, I did everything I was supposed to, and it was so expensive to buy in the neighborhood I grew up in. And I thought, well, why is that? And I think sometimes we think we should be buying our first home, but this kind of environment is just way too expensive. So people need to think about rent vesting and things like that. And so our business takes the use of property as a vehicle for families and individuals to get further ahead than what they would have had they done nothing. So it just makes it easy for someone that's thinking about property to actually doing it, because we've put the steps in place or the pathway in place to make it easy and achievable, and we support them in that process. So in a nutshell, it just means that everybody can actually build a portfolio and have a property, but you do need to plan it and make the most of what you have. That's really important as well.
Okay, awesome. So what makes you different from all the other businesses like yours out there?
Yeah, look, for me, it's always about just focusing on the clients that we have and the message that we have. We're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and there are others that may be a little bit more aggressive in the way that they want to do things. But I think we've created a really safe environment for people to learn how to do this and to go at their own pace and to be successful at it. So it's really about focusing on the individual's journey rather than just the property that they should be buying. And so because we're focusing on individual journeys, it means we can also pivot really quickly. And so we have survived property downturns and we have survived COVID because a lot of the emphasis is on service and support and success. It's not just on the property and the price. If that makes sense. So there's a whole system that comes with it. And the education and the culture, I think, is the reason why people come out satisfied. And it's the ethics behind it as well. So making sure they get there safely and transparently.
That's really beautiful. I love that you're focused on looking after the individuals and really helping them to achieve the goals that they have, rather than just trying to like buy or sell the most property.
Yes. Oh, look, the success will come with it, but it also means that we walk away from deals when we have to. And our culling process is a big part of what we're known for. So we could be making 5 times what we are. But if that means that we're cutting corners and we're not in alignment with our message and our brand, then I'm not willing to do it. So even with building our team, only willing to do it if we can build it with integrity, because otherwise it's, you know, the short win just isn't worth the years of hard work we've put into getting to where we are.
And I think that, you know, doing the right thing, as you said, like that's what you're known for.
Yeah.
And over time, like you're just going to get more and more known for that. And that's what's going to make you successful.
Yes. So sometimes it's what you say no to that actually makes you what you are as well. So we will not go the hard sales tactics. We will go education and empowerment. We won't go cold calling when people are having their dinner. We will go with collaboration and partnerships. So the alignment of our partners and everyone else that's a part of our service is really important as well.
That's really cool. I love that. I love that you believe in saying no, and the saying no is what's important. Yeah. Do you apply that to other areas of your life as well?
Yes, I've had to. Sometimes it's harder with the personal, but the whole idea of carving my own pathway is to be able to have and strike that balance with motherhood, because I worked for large companies and I built those, you know, my division within that company. And I was 9 months pregnant with our son, so second child, when I started this business, because I just did not want my talent to go to waste and I wasn't prepared to give up motherhood for it. So there was a no chance of failure type policy for this.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Well, we're just about out of time now, everyone, but it's been so wonderful chatting with each of you. And I would love for you now to just, each of you to just let us know where people can find you, so that if they're here with us live or they're watching the recording, they can go and read more about you at your website. So Vanessa, could you tell us what your website is?
Yeah, so it's www.profitfirstaccounting.com.au.
Beautiful. Thank you. Emma, how about yours? Where can we find you?
We're at activepropertyinvesting.com.au.
Beautiful. Thanks so much. Sarah, how about you?
Yep, so just the Rural Copywriter, so www.theruralcopywriter.com.au.
Perfect. Thank you. Sandra? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. Our website's actually under construction at the moment, but our Facebook page or our Instagram are the best ones. So it's just Blue Beanie Projects. Yeah, and on Instagram, I think it's Blue Beanie Projects 2015. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Rachel Neate, where can we find you?
.com.au.
Sorry, your audio just cut out for the first bit. www.prestonphysio.com.au. So Preston Physiotherapy is a little clinic in Melbourne. Beautiful. Thanks so much, Rachel. Well, thank you so much to each of our authors for being here today. I've really enjoyed chatting with you. And next up, we have a workshop with Emma Houston, and Emma is here. Hi, Emma. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Really good.
I'll just pop my microphone there. I think that'll be better to hear me with.
Yeah, that sounds great. So Emma, I'll let you take it away.
Great. I will share my screen. Here we go. So can you see that one?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Okay, so today, and I'm just going to go back to the start. I'm Emma Houston, and welcome to our workshop on helping you create more time, money, and freedom in your business and life. And today we're going to be looking at three key things. How to get more time quickly through outsourcing and automation because we all like those quick wins that give us a bit of momentum. How to think about money and the way you currently operate in business, and how to get freedom by making sure your business can run without you.